Imagine if you could unlock a rhythm hidden inside your biology that makes work not just easier, but more natural. Not a productivity hack from a book, not a tool you download, but a cycle coded into your brain and body. That's what ultradian rhythms are, and learning to work with them instead of against them is one of the most powerful changes you can make. Most people are familiar with circadian rhythms, the 24-hour cycles that govern sleep and wake. But within those circadian rhythms are smaller patterns called ultradian rhythms. They last around 90 minutes, and they control waves of alertness, focus, and energy. Your body moves naturally into a peak state for about an hour and a half, then it needs a reset. Push through without the reset, and you burn out. Respect the rhythm, and you ride the wave of peak performance again and again throughout the day. Think about your workday. You've probably noticed moments when you're deeply locked in. Ideas flow, time disappears, tasks melt. And then, almost suddenly, you hit a wall. Your brain fogs, you crave distraction, you feel the urge to stretch or snack. That's not weakness, that's biology. It's the ultradian cycle saying, recharge now. The tragedy is that most people ignore it. They drink coffee, scroll their phone, or grit their teeth and keep grinding. But grinding through a down cycle is like trying to surf without a wave. You'll exhaust yourself for little progress. Here's the flip. Instead of resisting the rhythm, design your day around it. 90 minutes of focused work, then a short break. Not just any break, but one that honors what your brain and body need to reset. Movement, hydration, breathing, rest, even a quick nap if possible. These pauses are not wasted time. They are fuel. They reset your nervous system, replenish neurotransmitters, and clear mental clutter. When you return, you rise into the next 90-minute wave with ease. Science confirms this. Researchers studying top performers, musicians, athletes, chess masters, found they rarely practice or train for more than 90 minutes at a time without rest. The best don't grind endlessly. They work in focused sprints aligned with their ultradian rhythms. That's why they can sustain mastery without burning out. Now, let's get practical. How do you implement this 90-minute work hack in your life? First, awareness. Notice your natural waves. Pay attention to when your energy peaks and when it drops. That drop is not failure, it's the signal to break. Second, structure. Plan your day in blocks. 90 minutes of focus, then 15 to 20 minutes of rest. Third, protect. During the 90-minute sprint, eliminate distractions, set a timer if needed, and go deep. During the break, step away fully. Don't trick your brain with half work. Breathe, stretch, walk, hydrate. Give your system a full reset. Consider how this feels compared to the average office grind. Instead of dragging through 8 hours with scattered attention, you get 4 to 5 cycles of deep work each day. That's 6 to 8 hours of actual focused progress, more than enough to transform your results, and you do it without frying your brain. Think of Thomas Edison, who often worked in cycles of intense focus, followed by rest in his famous napping chair. Or athletes who train in intervals, sprint, rest, because they know the body needs recovery to rebuild. The same principle applies to your mind. Your brain is not a machine that runs non-stop. It's a living system that thrives in cycles. But here's where most people resist. They say, I don't have time for breaks. Yet without breaks, your work quality declines. You produce more hours but fewer results. With breaks, you do less time but more value. That's the paradox of ultradian alignment. Rest increases output. Think about what happens when you don't honor ultradian rhythms. You push past the 90-minute window, your concentration slips, and you start compensating. You reread the same sentence twice, you make small mistakes, you check your phone more often. You think you're working, but the returns are shrinking. That's the cost of ignoring your body's design. When you learn to stop at the right time, you capture the peak and avoid the crash. Let's zoom into the biology for a moment. During the 90-minute cycle, your brain cycles through waves of activity, higher beta and gamma frequencies during focus, then shifting toward alpha and even theta as the cycle wanes. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and acetylcholine fuel focus, but they deplete over time. By the end of a cycle, cortisol starts to rise. Your body literally asks for a reset. If you provide it, through movement, hydration, even just staring out a window, you allow those systems to recalibrate. Skip the reset and the stress compounds. That's why by mid-afternoon, so many people feel fried. It's not the day itself, it's the accumulation of ignored cycles. Now imagine building your day around honoring them. 4 90-minute blocks in the morning and afternoon, each followed by a deliberate reset. Instead of feeling crushed by 3 p.m., you've surfed 4 waves of peak focus. That's 6 hours of deep, high-quality work. Compare that to a distracted 8 or 9 hours where only a fraction is actually productive. Less time, more results. Here's where it gets interesting. What you do during the breaks matters. The reset has to contrast the work. If you've been staring at a screen, close your eyes or look at something distant. If you've been sitting, stand and move. If you've been problem-solving, let your mind wander. A 5-minute walk outside can reset your nervous system more effectively than 20 minutes of scrolling on your phone. The principle is restoration, not more stimulation. Examples? Salvador Dali and Albert Einstein both used micro-naps, resting briefly with a spoon or a key in their hand so the clatter when they dropped it would wake them. That edge of sleep refreshed their minds without fully knocking them out. Modern high performers use meditation, breathwork, stretching, or even short bursts of play. The key is stepping away fully, not half-working. Let's talk about resistance again. Many people say, "But my boss won't let me take breaks." Here's the reframe. Breaks are not indulgence, they're performance enhancers. Frame them as energy resets that allow you to deliver better work. When you show that output improves, resistance usually fades. And if you work for yourself, the discipline is even more important. Without external boundaries, you'll be tempted to grind endlessly. But mastery doesn't come from endless hours. It comes from aligned hours. Now imagine layering ultradian rhythms onto circadian rhythms. If you know your circadian peaks, some people are sharpest in the morning, others in the afternoon, you can schedule your most important ultradian blocks at those times. Morning person? Put your hardest creative work in your first 2 cycles. Night owl? Save it for later. The combination of circadian alignment and ultradian cycles creates compound performance. And here's the deeper lesson. When you start living by rhythms instead of resisting them, life feels less like a grind and more like a flow. You're no longer fighting your biology, you're surfing it. You start to trust your body, your brain, your natural cycles. That trust creates confidence, and confidence fuels momentum. So here's the challenge. For 1 week, test the 90-minute work hack. Set a timer for 90 minutes of focused, distraction-free work. Then stop. Take 15 minutes to reset. Walk, breathe, rest. Repeat 3 or 4 times in your day. Track your results. You'll notice 2 things. 1, you'll get more meaningful work done in less total time. And 2, you'll end your day with energy instead of exhaustion. Ultradian rhythms aren't a theory. They're biology. They're the tide your body runs on every single day. Work with the tide and you move farther, faster with less effort. Work against it and you tire yourself rowing against a current you can never beat. The choice is yours. 90 minutes of flow, 15 of reset, repeated with discipline, can transform not just your productivity but your quality of life.